What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best gaming related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. We've talked about Outlast as a franchise on the YouTube channel in the past, and I wanted to talk about the future of this franchise, that being the Outlast Trials, guys, which of course is the upcoming game in this franchise, and I wanted to talk about everything that we know so far about the game, so let's get into it. So guys, in an article that was written by Connor Sheridan of Games Radar, Red Barrels says it's pretty early in production. So that's kind of the first thing that we know, guys, is that it's pretty early in production. It's hard to say when we're going to be seeing the continuation of this franchise, that being the Outlast Trials, as to when we're going to see it, but we'll get into that here shortly. The next game in the Outlast series is a 4-player co-op horror game called The Outlast Trials. Developer Red Barrels announced its next project in a press release confirming that The Outlast Trials is still in the early stages of production, but that it plans to share more news about it soon. Until then, here's what we know. The Outlast Trials is set in the horrifying fictional universe as Outlast and Outlast 2, but it will predate them by quite a bit. It's set place in the middle of the Cold War era, so probably sometime in the late 60s or 70s. Players will be able to participate in the Outlast Trials on their own if they prefer the solidarity experience of the previous games, though it's being designed to support cooperative play for up to 4 participants at once. Red Barrels also shared this art for the game, which reads "Where Freedom Ends." And this image, guys, that was brought out, almost looks like a poster of the Outlast Trials. Pretty awesome. It really is a interesting looking image, of course, that was brought out in game art from Red Barrels. Now, here's what I'll say, guys. First of all is the time period here. So we're talking middle of the Cold War era, which I think is a pretty interesting time to be making a horror game like this. It's going to be quite interesting to kind of see what they decide to do. I think it's going to be an interesting trial, no pun intended, to see what this game, or I guess this franchise, is like going back in time here. Instead of course, the fictional universe that is Outlast, and we had Outlast as well as Outlast 2, this might be something that is totally different from those two games, even though it's going to have that core feeling of Outlast. I think that this is going to be quite, it might be a little bit of a departure, probably still just as scary. I feel, though, with it being cooperative, it might not be quite as scary as the other ones. Maybe it's actually going to be even more scary. It's hard to say, but what I will say about it is this. I love the move to making it a cooperative experience as well as a single player experience. That's a huge move for Outlast in this franchise. I've always said, guys, having full packages with these games is a huge deal, and I think cooperative, even though it's going to be kind of a trial session almost for this game and franchise to see how it goes, I think that it's something that actually will do quite well. Now, the art shows 3 people all back to back in a dark room with a totalitarian looking logo in the background. Each of the people is wearing a strange goggle apparatus on their face, a tagged bracelet, and a dark jumpsuit, while the one in the middle is reaching up to grab the outstretched hand of an otherwise unseen 4th person. The tagline and grasping hand motif line up with the previous teaser from Red Barrels. The goggles might have you wondering if the Outlast Trials is also a VR project, but Red Barrels already shut that idea down in a comment on its official Facebook page. Which, I was going to say that, guys, that, obviously this definitely looks like this is a VR experience. When you look at the image that was released here by Red Barrels, it's like, oh yeah, this has to be a VR experience, or at least it must be VR as well as you can use like a controller or play on your PC. It could be, maybe either or. The only reason why it seems like it's definitely VR is because the 3 people that are put in and depicted in the image all have goggles. What the thing about it is that if one of them wasn't wearing the goggles, then you would think, okay, well, it's going to be VR as well as just more traditional play. But since they're all wearing goggles, I thought at first, oh, this is definitely a VR experience, which I was really bummed out about. But them saying that it's not We'll have to wait and see if that's going to be true. Our team is hard at work creating a new experience that will bring fear and anxiety to millions of players, whether they go through the experiments alone or with friends, studio co-founder David Shatnoff said in the statement. Now we've done our proof of concept. It is time to focus on content creation, variety, and gore. So look, guys, when are we going to see this game? Well, all in all, guys, we don't have an official release date. And what I'll say is this. Due to the pandemic going on in our world right now, I would have to say that we got the announcement late last year. We're probably going to see a little bit more information this year, but I would assume, guys, that we're going to see it at earliest probably in 2021, maybe even 2022, just depending on if this is going to be a VR project as well as a traditional experience. I would say we're going to have to wait a couple of years. Now, if it is just a traditional experience, consoles, PC, we might see it in 2021, probably later in 2021 or 2022. But guys, if you're a huge Outlast fan, and guys, you've known this from my YouTube channel, I'm a big horror fan when it comes to video games and movies and such, and so I'm really excited about this. The first two Outlast games were pretty terrifying in a number of different ways. Very good games, I thought. And I'm really excited to see the continuation here. Cooperative play is awesome. It'll be interesting to see if there's multiplayer experiences as well to make it really a full round-out package. But I'm excited to see where the story goes and what they're going to try to tell here in the 60s, 70s Cold War era. That is something that's really intriguing to me, and it could actually be quite terrifying the more that you think about it. Going back to the Cold War, and while this war is going on, there's also these entities and, you know, other creatures and whatever it might be, guys, that's out there. The unknown is something really interesting, and when you go back in a period of history, it can sometimes even make it more terrifying. But I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you all think about the Outlast trials? What do you think? Is this going to be maybe the best in the series, or is this going to be a step back in the wrong direction? What are your thoughts? Do you think this is a VR experience or just a traditional experience? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more The Outlast trials, content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Call of Duty has been consistently over the course of time, guys, been innovating and evolving in a way in which I think a lot of us as fans are really enjoying. In some ways, guys, I think the community doesn't like some of the things that are happening or the things that have happened in the past with the Call of Duty franchise, but all in all, I think that we can all agree, whether you're a big fan, a fan that, is just kind of more casual, or you're not a fan at all, I think we can all agree that Call of Duty has been one of, if not the most consistent franchise in the entire world. And with that being said, I want to talk about this talks and the consideration of Call of Duty going completely free to play. I'm not talking a free to play weekend, guys. I'm not talking about Call of Duty Warzone being free to play for everyone, which of course is the Battle Royale mode. I'm talking Call of Duty going into this business model, changing up their formula once again to a completely free-to-play experience. So let's talk about it. Guys, there's been a number of leaks, lots of rumors on the future of Call of Duty, where it's going. A Call of Duty Black Ops title is pretty much inevitable at this point, coming out this year, and we're waiting to hear more details on that, and I'll definitely keep you guys all up to speed as that information comes out. But set in the Cold War of the talks, Black Ops 5 or just a Black Ops reboot is what the title apparently will be. And there's also talk that after Call of Duty Black Ops, the next Sledgehammer game is the one that's going to be 100% free to play. Now, this is just a rumor, guys, that's going around, and I want to give you guys my thoughts on it. Call of Duty, guys, has been the king of gaming for a long time. And when I say king of gaming, I'm not saying just, viewership on Twitch or, viewership on YouTube videos and things of that nature. I'm talking as a whole, guys. Call of Duty has been the best-selling game every single year, and it just continues to be this juggernaut of a franchise for Activision. Now, what would a free-to-play experience for Call of Duty mean? Well, obviously, that year that they made a free-to-play game, obviously it wouldn't be selling copies necessarily, like digital copies and things of that nature. However, they would obviously go into a format similar to maybe like Fortnite, Apex Legends, and even Call of Duty Warzone, where you can buy customizable cosmetic items and such, and have, a bunch of different forms of microtransactions, which it's justified because it's a free-to-play experience. So, will this happen? Well, I think that this is definitely going to be somewhat of an experiment for Activision. Think of it like this, guys. You had Call of Duty Blackout came out. They had tried, free-to-play weekends for Black Ops 4 and Blackout, and they're kind of dipping their toes in it. They're kind of testing the waters, see what happens, as they release these games, and, okay, this versus that. So, okay, we're going to do free-to-play versus, pay-to-play, and we're going to see what we make more money from. It's all about money at the end of the day, guys, with these, Fortune 500 companies. Let's just, be real about it. And so what they're looking at is sales and versus, okay, like for digital items and, of course, also, physical copies that they're selling, versus that right now of, okay, free to play and we can make a lot of money just based on, cosmetic items in-game, making a free-to-play experience. And I think what Activision's going to find is they're going to make a lot more money if they do make it a free-to-play experience. Now, here's what I'm going to say. Is I believe that eventually Call of Duty very well might go free-to-play completely, as in every title moving forward will be a free-to-play experience. However, I would say that the Black Ops title coming out this year will not be free-to-play. I'll say that maybe if they continue Blackout or something along those lines, then that will probably be free-to-play. The Battle Royale mode will be free-to-play. They'll have free-to-play weekends for Black Ops 5 or the Black Ops reboot, whatever they call it. And then when the Sledgehammer title comes out, because it's maybe not going to be as big of a title, maybe it'll be a little bit smaller than Modern Warfare and Black Ops. Those sub-series in the overall franchise Call of Duty are the biggest, obviously. So let's just say Sledgehammer comes out with an Advanced Warfare 2, which obviously I don't think they're going to do that. But let's just say, for the sake of conversation, that they decide to go with Advanced Warfare 2 or a completely new IP. They make it free to play. And they test it out. They see, okay, we're going to have an experience where it's going to be maybe like Black Ops 4, where it's just a multiplayer experience, essentially, maybe a Battle Royale mode, and it's basically just all in on multiplayer, and they see how well it does as far as from a download perspective, and then of course buying cosmetic items and such, and see how it goes. Because I think that the shareholders with Activision at this point, they're expecting significant sales every single year, but what Activision's doing strategically is they're looking at this from the perspective of, okay, if we slowly kind of go into a free-to-play mentality, we have time to show the shareholders of the company that, look, this business model also works. Going free to play, you can actually have the potential to make a lot more money than if you were to, say, sell the game at $60, per copy per year. So I think that there's a real possibility, guys, that it will go free to play, at least for one title. Now, long term, it's hard to say, guys. It all really depends on what happens in the gaming industry. Is Call of Duty still as popular as it is right now? I think a free-to-play would actually just continue blowing Call of Duty up in massive proportions. I mean, think about it, guys. Call of Duty Warzone was #1 on Twitch for a long time, and that's something that is, that's a big deal, right? And so I think that when you look at the free-to-play versus, pay-to-play, I think the free-to-play is what, when people look at that, they say, oh, this is free. And then they obviously have more of an, inclination to go ahead and pay for stuff in-game because they're playing the game for free, right? And so I think you have to kind of look at those couple of things. And a free-to-play market, guys, is very powerful. We've seen it with Fortnite, Apex Legends. You're seeing it obviously now with Call of Duty Warzone. And the list goes on, and I think it's going to get bigger and bigger as time goes. But with that being said, guys, I think we will see a free-to-play title in the near future. Absolutely. People have asked me my thoughts on it. I do think we're going to get a free-to-play title. It won't be one of the big ones, I think. I don't think it's going to be Modern Warfare or Black Ops. I don't think it's going to be one of those two sub-series. It's going to be a different one. Whether you're talking like Ghost 2, which we've talked about on the YouTube channel, which lots of people want, Advanced Warfare 2, which obviously is a little bit more unpopular than Ghost 2, or if it's just a completely new IP, something brand new that they want to try with Sledgehammer Games, they might very well make it free-to-play to see how it goes. But with that being said, though, would you guys want to see Call of Duty go completely free And you obviously have to, you gotta be honest with yourselves. You know, when you look at this from the perspective of a massive company, a corporation here that's looking at ways that not only that they can bring us great experiences, but ways that they can, you know, make money and be able to support making, you know, more games in the future. Think of it from that perspective as well, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And for more Call of Duty content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked about Skate and the Skate franchise on the YouTube channel already, but I wanted to talk about what happened to Skate as a whole, guys. We've touched up on this a little bit in the past as to, you know, when will we maybe see a Skate 4? Is that something that's going to happen? And there's been a lot of question marks there. So let's talk about what happened to Skate, because I think you have to look at the history in order to kind of predict what might happen in the future. So guys, Skate 4. Will it ever happen? This is written by Daniel Richardson of Game Rant. Skate was an engaging franchise that built on the success of the Tony Hawk games by increasing the difficulty of tricks as well as largely keeping to an open world format. Many have been wondering what happened to the beloved franchise and if it will ever return. Despite EA's Instagram being bombarded with Skate 4 demands, there has been little hope for fans. The answers to fans' questions about the future of the series are embedded within an understanding of what happened in the development of the franchise. Skate was released through EA in 2007 and introduced a flick-it approach to doing tricks. Essentially, the right analog stick needed to be mastered in order to do simple tricks, and many appreciated this new difficulty. So much so that the game sold far more than EA had anticipated. With the host of groundbreaking online features and recording mechanics, it's unsurprising that a lack of news about a reboot of the Skate's series was one of the biggest disappointments of E3 2018. Unfortunately for the franchise, its demise was in this incredible foundation given by the first entry in the series. And so guys, look, Skate and Tony Hawk games were kind of the two games that in this genre that owned it. They just owned it completely, and I think part of it kind of reminds me a little bit of Guitar Hero and Rock Band. Those were games that were popular for a while, and then people kind of just moved on to other stuff. Skate and Tony Hawk felt like games that people were really into for a while, and then they kind of fell off. And so you kind of wonder, is that kind of very similar to Guitar Hero and Rock Band? Like, are we going to see a continuation of these franchises at some point in the future? Skate 2 built on Skate by expanding the world and introducing Hall of Meat, which was inspired by Thrasher's real-life feature. The mechanic allowed players to see what bones had been broken and the damage caused by a player's bail. This meant that difficult tricks were much more fun to fail, and it certainly added longevity to the game. The game sold well, and the franchise looked to be thriving. In fact, many of the mechanics of Skate 2 are still wanted in a new Skate game, yet this was a peak for the franchise before a steep fall, which of course would be, Skate 3, guys. And at the end of the day, like we've already said in the past many times, it really comes down to sales. Black Box lost staff because EA cut 10% of all its employees in 2008. However, the studio continued to produce Skate games. Skate 3 was released a year after Skate 2 and delivered improvements for online gameplay. Yet overall, this wasn't a huge improvement on Skate 2, and the game sold less than its predecessors, and critics noted that there weren't too many new aspects for players to get excited about. The result was a game that sold 5 million copies, which is impressive, but was not substantial enough to swerve EA's set direction. So look, guys, any normal franchise out there, 5 million copies is pretty good. That's not too bad. That's a lot of titles. And there's a lot of IPs out there, guys, by smaller developers that would absolutely kill to sell 5 million copies. But when you have success in the past and it doesn't quite reach expectations, whereas maybe EA thought to themselves, we should have sold well over 10 million copies, but only sold 5, that can, kind of sway their decision making. Obviously, we also have to think about how much it costs to make the game as well, the time, resources, and things of that nature. So you got to look at it from a couple of different perspectives, not just, that it's 5 million copies, why aren't you making more games? I do think that this is a franchise that does deserve to exist within, just the ecosystem of gaming as a whole, but we just don't know if that's something that will continue, and we don't really know EA's mindset at this point. Skate's main competitor, the Tony Hawk franchise, was rapidly losing sales, and EA felt that the future of sports games was in other extreme sports. The remaining black box team was set to work on Need for Speed The Run, which was released to disappointing returns. With that, black box was shut down, and members of the team dispersed to other studios. Hope was rekindled when Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 was released in 2015, and many were riding the wave of skateboard game nostalgia. Yet the poor reception of the game likely reaffirmed EA's decision 5 years prior. In fact, for many, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 was one of the most disappointing games of 2015. Robomoto couldn't recapture the magic of the Neversoft Tony Hawk games, and Skate would likely find itself in the same position under a new developer. Since this point, speculation about Skate 4 has largely come from fans of the series. So look, at the end of the day, guys, I think the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series and Skate, like I said, really reminds me of Guitar Hero and Rock Band, two very popular franchises as well in their own genre. But just, it kind of got stale after a while. Not that it was really necessarily oversaturation. Guitar Hero certainly had games coming out very consistently. Same thing with Rock Band. And the cost to make Rock Band and also to buy Rock Band was really expensive as well. These games were kind of niche as well. A very niche genre. Not saying, guys, that skateboarding and things of that nature are, completely dying, because there's a lot of people, a big community that love skateboarding, but maybe in video games, it was just kind of something that captured people's attention for a while, and they moved on to other games. It's really hard to say, but Skate 4, I think, really lies in the balance here. Like, we just don't really know if we're going to see a continuation because of not only sales, but also do the communities really want a Skate 4? That's kind of the big question, because at the end of the day, it comes down to that. And I think EA wants to see if you want a game made, guys, you got to be telling the developers that you want that game made, whatever it might be. And if enough people are building movements around it, you very well might see that they might kind of rethink about coming back to these franchises. Interest in Skate 3 peaked when it was rediscovered for its Hall of Meat mode and some of its glitches. Followed by Skate 3 servers coming back online, there was an air of anticipation for an announcement. On the back of the servers coming back online, there was a huge expectation for EA to give some details at E3. In the build-up to E3 2018, Tyler, the creator, even tweeted about Skate 4, and excitement was at an all-time high, with the mysterious trailer also adding to the anticipation. And then rumors of a new trailer being Skate 4 were dismissed, as it was revealed to be a new skating game called Session. The only news from this point on has come in the form of a trademark. Electronic Arts has renewed the Skate trademark, but this is likely a precaution in order to retain the rights to its back catalog and safeguard a franchise if skating games become popular once more. It looks as if Skate 4 won't be arriving anytime soon because of EA's lack of interest in the game or in the genre, waning audience excitement, and a defunct original studio. The franchise has been dismantled piece by piece through external and internal factors. Look, if I'm EA, if I'm not going to at least pursue this, because this is still a franchise I think that really has a lot of people that want this to come back. People want Tony Hawk to come back as well with the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games. So this is what I'm going to say. I believe EA should either give the game, to one of the other development studios, or they need to simply just sell the IP at this point. I mean, that's really at the end of the day, guys. They've got to just sell the IP, or they just got to give it to some other, development studio to work on. I mean, it kind of really comes down to that, in my personal opinion, because EA shouldn't be holding on to something that they're not really planning on using. And this is a franchise that still has a very big following. So I hope at some point either EA just decides to give the reins to another development studio, or they decide just to sell the IP on the market. That would be something I think would be really smart, and I hope that Skate 4 is in development right now, but there's no signals as to whether or not it is a game that's in development at this point. So I think at the end of the day, guys, What happened to Skate? It was just poor sales, guys. You had two games that were really great in this franchise, and then the third one didn't do as well as far as, sales are concerned. Even though it was a pretty fun game, it just didn't do as well as far as sales are concerned to EA's high expectations for this franchise, and they probably moved some of those guys obviously on to Need for Speed or to Battlefield, other IPs that make them and generate them more money. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys want to see Skate 4 at some point in the future? Are you okay with playing Session and having those first 3 Skate games? And what do you guys think really happened to Skate? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Skate 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.